Hey everyone, Maury Dunbar here, Painted Studio. Welcome back. Give me just a second to go on my computer here so I can find myself live to see if I can see questions, because we are back up with the camera that doesn't allow me to see anything. All right, give me just a second here. Okay, there we go. And we're off like a herd of turtles. Okay, so last week we were working on our cups. We got them all foiled. I had a couple spots that needed some attention over the weekend. I corrected some of the missed spots in the foiling, or the spots that got misfoiled. And today we're going to go on to the next step, which is for me applying glitter and doing epoxy. Now, at this stage, that cup is not the same. If you recall, I sealed the bottom here, but not the top. If I was going to do anything on here, like any words or anything that I wanted to cut out on a Cricut Maker or anything like that, if I needed to stencil, I would have sealed this with a fine layer of Aqua Guard gloss, or in my case, what I used this weekend was, or last week, was Varnish Plus gloss, so that if anything was adhesive and I pulled it off, it didn't damage the foil. We're not doing that. We're keeping things a little simpler. And I know that's shocking. So let me flip my camera down. We're going to pull out a cup turner, just because it'll make it easier for me to do the next step. And we're going to start with my winter cup here. And I had to check all of this beforehand to make sure all of this actually worked, because these are probably the biggest cups I've ever done, and I didn't know if my turner was deep enough, even with the large sponge insert, to handle a cup this big. My concern was that it wouldn't be snug enough and therefore it wouldn't turn, but this one ended up being fine. So I'm going to take a couple of brushes here. I got a couple different things floating around. Let me grab. Oh, I had one other. Here we go. So the one thing I want to do, got glitter on there that I have no idea where it came from in the studio, which is nothing new. Even though I literally just vacuumed, glitter shows up everywhere. So I'm going to take some more of my Artsyville foil adhesive, which you know right now is in my studio container, and the fact that it was gummy like that to remove is exactly why I have a studio container instead of using right out of the painted container. So, or the large package container. I'm going to clean up this edge right here because it's messy, it's uneven. And I'm going to apply foil adhesive in a band around here. Ooh, I hope this is going to turn okay, because that just wanted to slide a little. I may have to take this off the turner, shove the sponge down in there, and then remount it on the pole. Now, if I was really being OCD, I would have taped this off, but again, I haven't sealed this up with anything like I did the other cups, so doing that might actually be problematic. I'd probably pull some foil off of here, but I did come up with something to kind of help that out. Okay, so I've got that on there. I'm using one of these nail brushes that has this sort of splayed ends, very fine bristles, like kind of chopped up. And what I'm doing is I'm coming in and I'm pulling stuff down. And I'll pull it up a little bit too. Because what this does then, yeah, I'm going to have to take this out. Shove this in hard. Really wedge it because it wants to slide around, and it's the weight of the handle that actually makes that a problem. And then we're going to do this on all the way around, going down, and we're going to do it going up too. Make sure I got enough adhesive on here for what I'm doing. Now, since this is, get the brush out. Since this is the first one that I'm doing, this is going to be a learning experience because I haven't done this on this big a cup before. So whatever doesn't come out the way I'd like on this cup, I will learn to fix on the next cup. I love these colors. They're so pretty together. All right, there's that. There's enough foil adhesive on there. So let's come in here. Now I could use just about any adhesive for what I'm doing, but I find when I apply glitter to something like this, the foil adhesive is really, really good for it. It doesn't dry out and lose the adhesive properties that I want from it. It stays nice and sticky. It gives a great grab. Does exactly what I want. Except that I always get it all over my fingers. So I'm just going to kind of brush this up so it's almost got a little, sticky fingers, icicle fade. And you can see that it's sort of any loose foil on here because this is an over-releasing this. London fog tends to be very generous in the way it releases. And so it over-releases a little bit, and it's wanting to definitely do that and then stick to my brush a little bit. So we're going to get a little bit up in here. Now that won't show quite as much as it will on the base, just the nature of the way I applied the adhesive. And if I like it, if I don't like it enough, I'll do it a different way. All right, so we're going to use our silver glitter from Artistic Painting Studio, and we're just going to sprinkle it on. And I'm being generous because up here, again, I didn't seal this up here, so there's going to be exposed foil adhesive in many, many places. And this will grab onto wherever there's a foil adhesive that isn't quite sealed up. And I don't know why I vacuumed right before doing this today, because I'm going to have glitter everywhere. But it does do a really nice job of grabbing any place that might be just a little sticky with foil adhesive. And you see how then right up here are any of those little crevices that I might have missed with foil, or any of those micro cracks. Look at how it gives that really nice kind of, do that before I put it anywhere near the foil. Nice kind of icy effect on there. I'm very happy with that. So this one is good to go. I'm setting it to the side, although I am taking the sponge out of it because I need it for the other ones. All right. Now, let's move that out of the way. Once again, I had this table totally cleared off at the beginning of today, and it's now midday, and yeah, midday, afternoon, whatever you want to call it, and it's a mess. So this one, I'm going to use a couple of different purples. I had a whole bunch of stuff that I was going through, but this is a bigger glitter that I got from Mike. Both of these came from Michael's, and because I don't have a purple glitter in my inventory. I have a fuchsia one, but I wanted purple. So I'm going to take that. What did I have? I had a little container that I was going to mix some glitters into, because I wanted to use a little bit of both of these. There's that. Wrong side. Let's open this up and pour some of this microfine purple glitter in there. And it looks like a lot, but a lot is going to end up on this paper down here. It's just how it goes. And then whoever's ringing the door can wait. All right, I'm just kind of mixing it up a little bit, so I've got a really pretty mixture right there. And we're going to do the same thing we did before. Brush out of the adhesive. Oh, I'm going to have very sticky hands by the end of this, because everything I've touched today has had a little bit of adhesive on it, and it's left sticky residue on everything I've touched. My brush has it on here. Ugh. See, I got it up on here on the handle. Ugh. All right, I think I've got enough on here. Everywhere I've touched, yucky. I hate that feeling. I don't like sticky fingers. It's one of those things I've just never really done well with. I don't mind wet paint, anything else, but I don't like gummy stuffs on my fingers. Somehow didn't. First one I got all the extra on the bottom side. This one I got it all on the top side. I don't know how I did that, but it works. I'm getting the result I want. So now we're going to come up here. And the glitters will stick on this just like it did on the other one. And any place that there's a little exposed foil adhesive, especially the microfine, will grab into, and it will fill that in. Which is why I didn't worry that I didn't have a completely perfect release on here. I'm going in with my right hand because my right hand seems to be less glitter coated. This is fun. Oh yeah, look at how cute that came out. Oh. Make sure I got Look how cute that came out. Oh, I like that. These are coming out terrific. I'm very pleased with how these are coming out, because sometimes my ideas seem great on paper and in my head, but they are not always solid in execution. Sometimes the execution is better than the idea, and I think right now I'm in the latter part of that. The execution is really coming together. All right, this is our last one. This is, we did the Alexa leopard here, and then the Kenji gold on top. And of course I've still got more goo coming here, right there on my brush. It's Monday, folks. Things are buzzing around here. And then we're gonna come in, and since I've learned how I like my application, I know I don't have to be quite so perfect and precise. Right at this band, I just have to have enough adhesive to be able to pull up and pull down with my little foo-foo brush. All right, that brush goes in the water. This one will go in there with the water next. All right, let's start pulling it down. I'm gonna pull up too. Okay, let's get it in here. Now again, the bottom of this I already sealed once with, this time I used Varnish Plus gloss. Basically because I didn't have any AquaGuard gloss floating around today, or the other day. I need to restock. The only one that the bottom wasn't sealed on was the London Fog blue top, and the one that I did the silver glitter on, because I had some spots I needed to touch up. So we let that one just be free. Still sticky, still some exposed spots with that foil adhesive, and that's okay. It looked beautiful. Okay, so we're pretty well set here. And that goes in there. And if you think I was kidding about things being sticky, my fingertip is nothing but foil adhesive and glitter right now. Oh, and there was a piece of tape on it too. Okay, this is our Artsyville soft gold glitter, which is just the perfect color with this. It's not a super bright gold. And it's gonna be gorgeous on here. It's a slightly more muted color of gold, which I love. And again, I'm rubbing it up here because I didn't seal it. So it's gonna grab in any places where there might be a little bit of exposed foil adhesive. But down here, and the reason I'm doing this while it's still wet is when it's really wet, I can get a very tight, thick application of glitter, whereas when it's dry, it's a little less grabby for the bulk glitter that I was aiming for. This way, when it's thick like this, I can stick my finger in and kind of pat it in and get more to stick. Up here, I just give a rub to make sure it's stuck everywhere it wants to stick. This is not sticky here, it's just that it's plastic, and the glitter is also made out of polyester, so static sort of grabs there. That'll wipe off. Just dust it off. Okay, we are glittered. Glitter, glitter, glittered. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Let's get a little pinch right in there. All right. And everything else well covered. Now I gotta quickly clean up this area so that we can now do the epoxy. Put that sponge over to the side. We're gonna put our cup turner over to the side. Let's get everything closed up, put away, and I will fold up this paper with all the glitter on it. Now, the epoxy is the last step for the day. So, because why? It has to stay on, it has to stay turning, and it needs a good bit of time to cure up. So let's take that. Let's move it back a little bit. That cleans the majority of it up. Although there's always going to be glitter around. You can see it'll still be on the paper because there's always some floating. Glitter is everywhere. You can't get rid of it. It's still on my hands. I'm going to take a piece of paper. Well, what I'm going to do is put on gloves, so that will help mitigate some of that. So we're going to be working with art resin 2-part epoxy. So the first thing I'm going to do is mix that up. But I got a glove up. And I'm not making a lot because I'm just coating each of these cups once. A thin coat first. And then I'll do a heavier coat for the second layer. But I want my first coat, especially since my cup turners are going to be a little temperamental with the weight. The first coat is going to be a thin one just to seal everything in. Oh, whoops, dropping things. The glitter can be a bit, let's straighten that out. The glitter can end up being a bit textury. So I want to seal it in first, and then we'll get to a smoothing layer for the second pass. So that means this goes on this afternoon, and then another layer goes on during the day at some point tomorrow. And I forget that these don't want to come off because I've had them long enough that they get temperamental coming off the caps. All right, so art resin. This is our epoxy. We carry it in many sizes. From big to small, so you're not stuck buying a big container, like big containers like this. But it is a 2-part epoxy. It is extremely user-friendly, very low to no odor. There's a very vague odor. It is food safe. It is non-toxic. It is an irritant. It's no VOCs and no BPA. It says right there on the container, no VOCs, no BPA. So you're working with a product that is designed to be very user-friendly in chemical composition. All right, that was the resin. Now we're going to pour in the hardener. The older these jars get, the hardener starts to turn a little yellow. You don't notice it once it's mixed up and on things because you're putting on thin coats, but it will, you know, if you've had it a long time like I have. This is an older container. I've had it forever. Notice I have no problems using it. These are equal parts. Do not mess up your concept of equal parts. There's a reason. If you get too much hardener and not enough resin, you will have issues with this starting to harden as it mixes. if you have too much resin and not enough hardener, it might never harden for you. So make sure when you're doing like I did, that you keep the caps of each product back on each one individually, because otherwise the caps can actually interact with whatever's in there. You get them in wrong, and it hardens around the cap. You want to measure carefully to get everything equal so that it hardens correctly. And as you start to do things, you will learn exactly how much product you needed. Oh God, get off the doorbell. Somebody's buzzing hard. But try not to make more than you need, because all that happens, you can't store this. Once it's mixed, this is a chemical hardening process. This is not a drying process like water-based paints. These are two chemicals that interact with each other and they cause a chemical cure. So once it's mixed, it's already starting its process of becoming cured. You have about, once it's mixed, you have about 45 minutes of pot time, meaning that you have about 45 minutes to use it. If you're doing something big, don't mix it into a tall, thin container, because that creates heat in this chemical process. It's not good. You won't have a good reaction, and it will start to cure as you're mixing it. If the bigger the project, the larger and wider the pan you want to use. Now the next thing is this starts to turn cloudy as you start mixing it. And you want to mix it for a minute or two until it turns clear again. If when you're mixing bubbles start to fly, don't breathe those bubbles. That's epoxy. You don't want that in your lungs. I see bubbles coming up, I blow them away. But right now, I've got to give this a mix and mix and mix and mix until it turns clear. So we're going to take a minute here. This is the exciting part. You're watching me stir. I don't worry about bubbles in my epoxy. I know some people are very concerned, but we're not pouring a mold and we're not pouring thick. So there's a couple ways to reduce bubbles. A is mix very slowly, which I don't have the patience for. B, you can put this on something like put this on in a container that can handle being on like a coffee cup warmer, because that heat will make this more liquid and the bubbles will rise. And of course, on a thin surface, we torch it. So that pops the bubbles too. Again, it thins the liquid, allows the bubbles to rise, and then the flame kind of creates a chemical reaction and it pops the bubbles. So all good ways to do that. But if you need your resin to be crystal clear and bubble free when you're pouring it for something, putting it on like a coffee warmer is really a great idea. Because otherwise you're going to have to pour in really thin layers. Now, I've cast this stuff in a million different things. Sometimes when I'm casting, I mix it up and then I leave it until close to the end of the pot time and come back every once in a while, and I torch into the container. It pops some bubbles, allows some more bubbles to rise up, come back and torch and come back and torch, and then I get a fairly bubble-free mix. But bubble-free is not ever my goal. I'm okay with it having bubbles in it because of the way I'm applying it. Let's see. We're about ready. Always scrape the sides, because if you don't and then you pour it or you coat it and brush against it, and it's not completely mixed, you probably will likely have a soft result, because you will have incorrectly mixed epoxy. So I always like to take a little extra time, and I go in here and I hold it, because if I'm on white paper, I can't tell if this is cloudy or not. If I do it holding it on my blue gloves, I can see whether it's bubbles or whether I need to mix more. So I needed to mix a little more. And there goes a bubble. And this gives me a chance to kind of scrape the bottom, to scrape the sides, scrape the edges, make sure everything's mixed. Last thing I want to do is give myself a bad epoxy coating. And I have done it. I have absolutely done it. All right, let's set that over there. I'm going to pull up my cup turners. There's one. I'm going to plug them all in so that they are available to me as I'm ready. That means I got one that's just turned on right away. I don't want that. So let me get that, and then I'm going to get the last one plugged in. I want them all plugged in before I get going. Now, I thought I was only going to need one brush, but given the number of colors of glitter, I'm going to need a couple, so let me go grab 2 more brushes. Now I use foam brushes. They're disposable, and I'm actually running out, so I'm probably going to have to get some more. So the first thing I'm going to do is, let's start with the silver glitter first. I'm going to take my little foam insert. I'm going to shove it down in here hard because I know I'm going to be battling the weight of the handle on this. So we're going to turn it on. That's my cup turners now turning, and there are better ones. I've had these for years. I bought them off of Amazon years and years ago, like 6 years ago. And some cup turners are better. This is okay. I think now with the availability of other stuff, they're better turners. But this one will do. A piece of stuff stuck to it. So I want to watch this turning because I want to make sure the handle doesn't make it slip, because otherwise I'd have to figure something else out. All right, so we're going to do this one. And I'm going to start down here, just coating. And you can see that if I'm too heavy-handed with my brush, I can actually stop the turn. That will tell you what's happening with the weight of this cup. Now this is going to be a little challenging because I'm trying not to mix the glitters together. So I'm going to also start up here. But you can see that the weight of this cup has it's something I have to watch out for. And that sponge is way down deep in here, so that's another thing to pay attention with for me. If you have a better cup turner, I'm glad, because again, I've used these for dozens of cups, but all of them have been smaller. I have not done something this big, which is also another reason I'm using thin coats here. I don't want to try to stress my application method and put so much weight on here that if this by any chance stops somewhere, I don't have huge wads of epoxy dripping off. Okay, let's wipe that off. So I actually do have real reasons for the way I'm doing things, even if they don't look like they make sense. here. Okay, we're just about coated. Just about, not completely yet. There's a couple spots I know I need to catch. Right in there. And I'm using my light source to help me. And I'm going right over the edge of the tape. I will end up cutting the tape off with a knife later. After I've gotten all my coats on. I knew I was going to miss a spot. And what I'm doing here is smoothing it out. And I got to remember to work around the handles, or the handle, not the handles, because that is a spot that I don't want to miss the epoxy with. That would be a weak spot on the cup otherwise. Okay, that's good. All right, this brush goes over to the side. Here's my torch. This is an acetylene torch. You get them at Home Depot. I know they look really, really intimidating, but they're not hard to use at all. And I think there's a little spot that actually needs a little more epoxy right now. I saw it thin right there as I went by it. You see, I gotta watch that because that is where the cup might want to slip. Okay. You don't take your torch and go down into this like you're torching into the cup. You want to take it and go across. Why? Because if I go in through here, I won't burn the epoxy, but it could burn anything underneath it. I just want to run it across the surface to get any bubbles, make it pop. This may not show on camera, but I'm watching bubbles pop. And there's a little patch that needs a little more epoxy. And you always keep your torch moving. It liquefies the epoxy a lot, but you also want to keep it moving so that you don't have burns happen. You don't want to burn your under materials. Okay, I saw a little spot. That's not what I wanted to use. I want to use this brush. I saw a little thin spot. I have to wait. There it is. It comes around. There's that one. And you look in the light and watch to see if there's a spot that looks like you need to put material on it. Right there. Okay, I've done that. Now because I've added more epoxy, I need to torch again. And I'm very careful. The handle's plastic. There's another thin spot. I can see thin spots once in a while when they come around. Oops, I turned that off. And this thing has a way, if you turn it on and off, it will change the direction that you're going. Okay, there was that. I think there was a little thin spot there. Switch the light. And we're good. One more time with the torch. Now, especially at the bottom here, you don't want your epoxy super heavy. Why? Because it will shift off of here and then you'll have a big blob here that's trying to drip off. But if it starts to set up before that blob goes away, you end up with a lump on the bottom. I've had to sand those lumps off. It's a lot of work. Okay, so I'm going to shove stuff way out of the way. We're going to take this cup turner and move it over here. I've got a different one. This is another one. I got this one actually at Michael's, and they used to sell these for like $79. And let me tell you, it's not one that I would have spent $79 on. I fortunately found an online coupon for it and only paid about 20 bucks for it. Sometimes this is a good one, sometimes it's not. It's a little frustrating. It does have an adjustable speed, which is one of the things I like, but as you can see, now it's stuck. So I have to adjust, see if I can get this so that it will work with this handle. And this is why you test all of this stuff before you get going. Nope. This is simply... The base simply is not tall enough for this. So this one, this cup turner is dead useless to me for the big cups. Glad I checked that out first. So we're going to do this one on here. I only have 2 of these kinds of cup turners. So third one's going to have to wait until the other 2 are cured. And that's just going to have to be what it is. Let's turn this one on. I'm glad I knew that now, rather than before, that I started slopping stuff on here. Let me shove this in here further. There we go. Okay, that's turning better. Let's see if I can get that a little squared away. Well, it's in there pretty deep, so now it's got it. Like I said, I've never done cups this big, so I'm kind of battling with the cup turner right now to get it so that it turns, that the handle doesn't cause it to slide around, and that I can do what I need to do. All right, yeah, that's gonna be a pain. Come on. I got your other one working just fine. Why are you being a pain in the tuchus? Let's see if it'll work. Yep. A sponge and the cup, or the weight of the handle, is fighting each other. Keep going. Let's see what happens. Otherwise, it might be one of these cups at a time. Yep. This is why I was concerned. Let's turn this off. The turner's still turning just fine. However, let's see if I can get this in here snug enough so that it turns. Okay, I think I got it. All right, let's get down here. Again, this is going to be a little temperamental because it's definitely fighting the weight of the handle. You can do it. It's funny how one will work just perfectly and the other one will have an attitude. And this is partially because I'm putting pressure on it, putting the epoxy on. Yeah, this is all me messing with it right now. It will go, once I get it all balanced out, it'll go fine. I got it going before, I can get it going again. It's me messing with it that's being the problem. Well, it's too bad because I have just enough for 3 cups here, and I'm only going to get 2 covered today. I will get it going. Everything will get done. Come on, you're going to get there. Let's get this on here so it's actually going to turn. And let's see. Go. Let's see if we got it turning correctly now. Yes, there we go. All right. And I'm going to torch it. I got one little spot that needs a little attention, so I'll catch it as it goes by. Right there. I think there was some spots right in here. Those out of the way and torch. Check my epoxy here. It all looks quite smooth. Yeah, a little bit. And a couple handle spots here. Okay, so now we've got, check this as it comes around since I just stuck my fingers in it, stuck a brush in it. I am going to stick my fingers in here just to make sure things are smoothed out the way they should be. Turn this off and have it go the other way. Base. Just need a little bit of attention. Here we go. Okay, we are done for today. Now, I'm sorry I can't get that third cup on the turner. It's just going to have to sit and wait until I have a turner that's clear. Let's flip this up. Alrighty. So, you can see your turner does make a big difference. These turners were not designed for these size cups, and they have had a challenge or two with it. The reason I went off camera for a second while I was working with this, so the other one shifted off the other turner. So I'm going to have to keep a close eye on these for the next few hours until the epoxy really starts setting up. I will be coming back and forth. Fortunately, it's a late night here for me in the studio to get all the stuff ready for the rest of the week. But they do look awesome. I mean, these are looking fantastic. I'm very pleased with the results. They will absolutely need a second coat of epoxy. So tomorrow, one of these will come off the turner, and I will put the first coat of epoxy on this one, and the other one will get its second coat. Don't ask me which one. It's whatever one I get to first. And then after that, the one that comes off the turner that has one coat of epoxy will set to the side until I'm ready to do the second coat of epoxy on this one, and the other one will. Yeah, I know, it's a little bit of juggling, but as you saw, my other cup turner was just not tall enough to accommodate that handle. And these days, that's a thing. When I started making epoxy cups like this, they didn't have these big handles on them. They were not made like this. You weren't seeing these. These were not what was out there. You were seeing the handle-free ones. And they were perfect. They were great for what they are, but everybody likes a good handle. And quite frankly, I made one for my husband that has a handle on it, and it's his favorite cup. He takes it out every day and uses it because it has the handle, and the handle's kind of a big deal. I'm starting to appreciate as my hands don't want to hold the bigger ones anymore. They're harder for me to hold, especially in the car where the narrow part goes in the cup holder. And the big part is where I have to grab. I'm appreciating the concept of the handle now much more than I used to. So just be aware, if you're going to make these, make sure you have a turner that's tall enough to handle the handle and that is large enough. You saw what I was doing, all the playing around I had to do to get this to fit in, to do the turning as well. So that's, you know, the ones I have that I got, they weren't really designed for something this big with this extra weight of a handle. They're fine with the ones without handles because there's no spot on here that would have extra weight. But this handle thing adds a ton of extra weight to things. So that can make it a little challenging to get your cup turner to work correctly. All right, everybody, I'm going to clean up my mess and put away the glitter, and hopefully it doesn't explode on me anywhere. I'm going to put away foils. I got to clean up all the stuff I had out for doing these cups, and we will be back tomorrow with how they look. I think you're going to be really, I mean, I'm looking at them now, and I hate looking at stuff with tape on it because tape always to me makes it look messy, but I think these are going to look really, really sharp tomorrow. All right, everyone, have a great day. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.